Hey, it's Nathan. Welcome to another special double episode from the Health Conference. Each one of these episodes is launching Monday and Thursday and will feature conversations, with two different CEOs. So, welcome, listen in.
And so what we were able to publish in Nature Medicine is that the results we generate in the Petri dish have about an 85% correlation with how your body will respond to the drugs that we've selected that the doctor will treat you with.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and then we clap in.
Okay.
Yep. So we're going to call that the clap in. We did it. Yep. Hello and welcome to the Glow Up. I'm Nathan C. And today I'm talking with Jim Foote. Jim, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Can you please introduce yourself and the work that you do?
Yeah. So the name of the company is First Ascent Biomedical. We're a first functional precision medicine company focusing in cancer.
Ooh. Can you explain a little bit more of what a focused precision medicine company means?
My
specifically?
language, yes. Functional precision medicine means designing a personalized cancer treatment plan for you based on your biology, how your cancer cells respond to different drugs, combining it with genomics, and developing a plan as personalized as your fingerprint.
Interesting. And what amount of sampling and
How do we do it?
how do you do it?
Yeah.
Is it a blood test?
Yeah, so what we do is we work on both solid and liquid tumors, so leukemias, lymphomas, but also solid cancers, so bone cancer, brain cancer, all cancer types. We start with a biopsy. So we start with a biopsy.
Yep.
We've invented a technology that allows us to rapidly enrich those cells to the point that we can test hundreds of FDA-approved drugs against that biopsy. We figure out what drugs are effective against your cells and which ones aren't. We bring all that data together with genomics, we send it to your doctor, and it gives a ranked list of drugs that are all FDA approved. Your doctor chooses which ones to treat you with based on what we know works for you.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just what works on the cancer, like on the tumor that you sampled, but it's also looking at other factors.
The biology.
within-
And so what we were able to publish in Nature Medicine is that the results we generate in the Petri dish have about an 85% correlation with how your body will respond to the drugs that we've selected that the doctor will treat you with.
What's the time frame?
10 days. 10 days. And what we were able to publish in Nature Medicine was that when doctors use our platform to guide treatment, patients benefit 83% of the time better than doctor's choice or standard of care. The thing about it is, until you hear the word cancer, you think that they've got it all figured out. And they've done a great job. So I'm not dismissing that. But in 2025, 1 in 3 cancer patients have died. It'll be the #1 killer of men under 50. And the #2 killer of women. It's the #1 killer of children by disease type. And so you look at it and you go, with all the tools and all the technology and all the drugs and all of that, we accept 1 in 3 cancer patients still die, and 50% of cancer patients worldwide die. And so that's really, I know, and that's where it's like, we've got to do better. We've got the tools, we've got the technology, we can enable physicians to make better decisions.
This is like the numerology of startups, especially in Silicon Valley startups. There's a lot of conversation about the 80-20 rule.
Right.
And it's about focus your work on the 20% that makes an 80% into what you're trying to do. It sure sounds like you're starting to get to that sort of 80-20 level.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because when we published in Nature Medicine, there was a lot of wow. We had one of our children who's actually on Good Morning America. He's an 8-year-old boy, had leukemia. Not only did we get his leukemia into remission, but we actually found a drug that would have destroyed his heart for the rest of his life, and it would have been 100% ineffective. He's here today, healthy, happy, 8-year-old little kid. We have another one. This is a letter that I got from a doctor just a month or 2 ago. Child's at home on hospice. Parents are expecting the worst. They come into our trial. We return results. Kid goes from hospice to back to school to playing football. So the skepticism is when we publish in Nature Medicine, the 83%, Those numbers are great. Patient count was really low. I agree with that, by the way. Now we're about 130 patients in. What do you think's happening to that percentage?
My hope for you is that it's increasing.
I wouldn't have posed that question if I didn't know the answer to it, but yes.
Right.
So I can't say the number, but we're starting to assemble the data and it's going up significantly.
Jim, this is one of those topics that could eat
Yeah.
up our whole time together. But your specific example brought up this very interesting answer to a question that's often really hard to answer
Right.
in medicine, which is what is the value of saved work, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to put a number on that because there's so what ifs. But in your specific example, there was a potential harm that was avoided because of this insight, which could have been seen by many with the existing information
Yes.
as a viable option. If you go back to the basis of medicine and that do no harm,
Do no harm.
being able to understand that, like, yes, while we want every cancer patient to have a treatment and to succeed and to have that hope,
Right.
Really,
That's the thing is there is an economic side to what we do. When you look at how much insurance companies spend on cancer care, I don't know if you know this, 1/3 of the dollars they spend on cancer care goes to the 2/3 of the patients who survive. 2/3 of the dollar goes to the 1/3 of the patients that don't survive. So the insurance companies are like, I can't spend any more money. But when you start looking at the economic benefits of that child will live 60, 70, 80 years without heart disease because we eliminated a drug. Let me give you another statistic specifically in kids. 95% of all patients that go through cancer care with a child, report severe financial impact. 10 to 15% of them move into poverty. And that's when you start looking at the cancer death rates. We often say there's a financial gap that keeps people from getting access to care. Yes, in that most families, when you have a loved one going through cancer, if I live in Paducah, Kentucky, I may not have the money to go to Cleveland Clinic or Houston or Dallas or one of the cancer cubs. So I get treated locally at my local hospital and they do the best that they can. And this is where our technology comes into play. The biopsy can be taken locally, the results can be returned locally, and the patient be treated locally with a class of technology that enables that true personalization. So it closes that financial toxicity burden because I don't have to travel anymore. I can have it done locally. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love it. We don't have enough time for me to make all the comments and follow-ups that I want. But I love that model and that, again, it's positioning choice and information in that option of do we risk bankrupting our family to go to this hub, or is there an option that will work for us here?
That's right.
Those are the kinds of choices that parents are having to make all the time.
Every day.
Jim, this is fantastic, and I'm so excited to be learning about this kind of personalized care. We just have a few more minutes left. So I want to get into some of the show-focused questions. It's the tech glow-up, the health tech glow-up, because we're here at Health. And I've been asking folks about the glow-up they want to see in the healthcare industry overall. And I've actually been a little shocked by some of the answers. So I'm curious.
The system was built off of 100-year-old practice of they find it in your breast, they call it breast cancer. But what if you have a marker, I'll use HER2 positive as an example. 83,000 women have HER2 positive, we got a drug, boom. But what if you have that 500 patients that have HER2 positive bladder cancer? They can't give that drug to that patient even though it's got the same biomarker because it hasn't been approved. And so that's where insurance companies, again, if I have evidence that drug will work against that patient's HER2 positive bladder cancer, I believe the insurance companies, it's a no-brainer, right? Again, it's a technology that allows them to have the evidence that supports this is going to work. It makes approval almost instantaneous.
If you can make approvals instantaneous, I know there's a lot of patients and providers that are going to love you. What's the glow up that you're looking to make in your own work?
Yeah, I got started on this pathway. My son was one of those 1 in 3. And I realized I had tools and technology available at my fingertips that doctors, hospitals, nurses, practitioners, insurance companies didn't have to make as important decisions around cancer. And I knew it was a solvable problem. And that's really why we brought this company together. This is why we've been validating for 10 years. We're there. This is all about scale. And I make the correlation between oncology and NASA. And look what SpaceX did. Faster, cheaper, and safer. Why? Because they weren't rocket scientists. They were that external disruptor. And that's really the name of our company's First Ascent, because we will be the first to disrupt a lot of these things that need disruption in a safe, clinically validated way.
I love it so much. The next question is about the theme of the show. The theme for health this year is heroes and legends. And so I've been using it as an opportunity to ask people about the mentors, coaches, and heroes that have informed your entrepreneurial journey.
One of my heroes, I'm going to tear up, my 17-year-old son. I learned lessons from him that I'm ashamed to say took me 40 years to learn. But I say cancer picked the fight with the wrong guy. And this is going to be my signature because of my son and because of other cancer patients who have fought so courageously and have won the battle or lost the battle. I fight for them. And those are my heroes. They're the ones on the front lines every day. My job's easy, right? Their job is really hard. And I never want to be a company that looks at a biopsy as just a glob of cells. It's somebody's mom, it's somebody's sister, it's somebody's brother, it's somebody's loved one. And so we have pictures of cancer patients on our walls because every day I want people looking up at Levi and Thomas and Patrick. They all have names.
They do. And this is maybe reading a little deeper than you were intending, but like even the history of genomics is fraught with some of that valuing the people behind it.
Yeah.
And I love that your mission is bringing that value back, repairing some of the early missteps of genomics. So
right.
Amazing.
Yeah, here's how it all comes together. You've been to an orchestra, right? Genomics becomes the sheet of music, the notes on the sheet. Functional precision medicine is the orchestra. Everything coming together in perfect tone. AI is the conductor that is changing it in real time.
Oh my gosh, Jim, we are out of time. That is the fantastic place to leave it. Thank you so much for joining me on the Health Tech Blow Up. We got one more thing to do. We're going to clap it out.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Amazing. Thank you so much.
No, it's awesome, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you. So appreciate that.
Anytime.
So 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome to the Health Tech Blow Up. I'm Nathan C. and today I'm talking with Dan Kendall. Dan, it's so great to have you on the Health Tech Glow Up.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm really honored.
Amazing. So the theme for this year's health is heroes and legends. And from my perspective, you're a bit of a healthcare podcasting hero and legend. Can you explain for those who maybe don't listen to as many health tech podcasts as I do, who you are and what you do in this industry?
Thank you for that overwhelming compliment. I'm a little bit embarrassed, but I have been in health innovation since before digital health was called digital health, when it was called mHealth, and before that eHealth, and before that just simple health IT. I've also been a podcast listener since 2005. I bought my first 80 gigabyte color screen iPod, and that you had to plug it into your computer and download the things that you wanted. So I've been listening to podcasts for a long time. And it was in 2016 when I was working in digital health, this new industry of digital health, and I couldn't find any digital health podcasts that I thought, if nobody's making one, maybe I can do it. And I started, because I'm a builder, I'm a maker, I like to create, and I see problems and I try to solve them. And I started a podcast called Digital Health Today, and that opened up an entirely new world of conversations and connections and understanding and storytelling and technology.
That's amazing. If I have my numbers right, like you're not just in healthcare podcasting, but in podcasting in general. As somebody, the amount of time that you've been in it, it puts you as an OG there as well.
I think chronologically, I probably would fit that qualification.
I'm curious, do you mind talking a little bit about, have you always been a communicator and a connector when you were working in health innovation and health e-health? Or have you played other roles before you found this one?
I've always been, I guess the short answer is yes. I have been in sales, I've been in marketing, and it was in 2013 when I was working at this early sort of computational health world that I first heard the term storytelling in relation to healthcare. And I was at the Body Computing Conference at USC, led by Dr. Leslie Saxon, a cardiologist there at Keck. And her brother is a director in Hollywood. And he came and spoke about storytelling. And I thought, storytelling in healthcare, I don't understand how that relates. And then it was like a light bulb moment because I thought, that's what we need to do. And actually, when I looked at what I had been doing, that's what I had been doing because I'm an engineer by training, but I like to say that I'm not a very good one because I need to really break things down into simple terms. But when I do that so that I can understand how things work, it puts me in a situation to be able to explain it to people in a way that they can also understand it and reduce that burden of trying to get that complex idea down to something simple. I can then just translate the simple idea to the person to help them build up their knowledge. And that's storytelling. So I've worked between clinicians that have been working at the forefront, leading edge of technology and understanding their problems. Sometimes when they don't even see them as problems, they just are experiences. That's just the way things work or what they have to do. And then observing that, taking that back, translating that to a very technical group of people, scientists, researchers, engineers, developers, regulatory people, and having them come back with a solution that often blows me away. And I remember one conversation I had with a vice president of R&D, Rick Buter at Stryker, and I walked into his office and he had this amazing equation across the huge, like 12-foot whiteboard. And I said, "What is that?" And he said, "That's the soundboard you designed." And I said, "I assure you, I did not design that. But my words, when he put that into a product, that's what it came out as." And I was really pleased to see the product that he built off of my description of what needed to exist for the clinicians who needed to use them.
So not just telling the stories of like products that have already existed and how they go to market, but also helping to tell the stories of providers, of clinicians, of other pieces within the ecosystem and sharing that back in.
Exactly. So once you understand the problems and you relate that back to the people who can help come up with the technical solutions, you need to take those solutions and then explain them back to the people who need to use the solution about how they can apply it and how it solves their problems. And what I love about healthcare is actually something that some people dislike, which is the complexity of it, because it forces you to be creative inside of some constraints. And then there's so many different priorities and perspectives and people who are looking at different parts of this elephant that are trying to describe their part of the solution they need. And as a developer, as a solution provider, as a creator, you need to find out how can I try to solve as many of the things that might not be the perfect solution across every single area, but gives enough of the solution that everyone's able to say, this works for me, I'm on board.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your mission?
I got older, like all of us will hopefully do. And I realized that life is too short to work with people that you don't really like or work on problems that you don't really enjoy. No, it's really important, I think, to work with people who you enjoy. I realized that I enjoyed working with people who were on a mission. It doesn't have to be my mission, but when they're on a mission to solve something around women's health or technology, they're trying to really do something. I thought if we can take media solutions and apply it to people who are on some sort of mission, how can we amplify the impact of their voice like you're doing here? And that's really the basis of why I started mission-based media.
I love that. And honestly, that's one of the best green flags is when somebody is on a mission, they can see something that nobody else does. Like helping them see the parts that they don't know is like one of the most fulfilling because they do something with it, right? Like they'll take that advice and run. So this is potentially another pointed question. You had mentioned how you get to work with people who are on a mission. And you mentioned how your insights and the advice and how you've been able to translate the market to doctors, to innovators. But those are people who, innovators and doctors both, are notoriously not interested. They're not asking for suggestions.
Right.
So how do you, as a leader and an innovator yourself, open those doors to have those conversations and to bring the storytelling and media perspective into these places that aren't necessarily open to it as a default?
So when I look at the way things have changed over the course of my career, there's been a lot of change in the past 20 years, in the past 10 years. And I think that what got us here won't get us where we have to go. And we can't keep thinking about the solutions the way that we used to solve them. And we have to think about how are we going to meet people where they are and how are we going to articulate things. Some of the people who are making decisions are in my age group that grew up in a different world and haven't necessarily pivoted and kept up with all of the changes. I remember the first job I had out of college, and I had to explain to somebody how to use a fax machine. There was a lot older man. That's a fax machine. That's 30 years ago. So that's 30 years of change that's happened here. And we need to realize that we can't just rely on, actually, fast forwarding another 10 years, 20 years ago, I had to explain to people why we needed a website. And I remember sitting around a table with people who were not then, they were my age now, in their 50s, saying, but if we put things on the internet, then everybody can see them. That was literally the conversation around people who said, but we can't put this new product on the internet, then everybody will be able to see it. Well, that's the point. That was just 20 years ago. So look at all the innovation we've had since then. Actually, that was almost 20 years ago. Shit. So we need to realize that we can't just keep making videos and PDFs and websites and events. They all have a place, but we have to find a way to engage with people where they spend their time, which is often off screen. And what's more powerful, and what I'm on a mission to do through mission-based media, is to focus on the audio experience. It's not even audio first, but an audio forward way of connecting with people. Because when you can take messages and content and unlock them from their glass jail cells and unleash them into audio waves that have the ability to mechanically affect the small hairs inside your inner ear, to create electrical pulses, to stimulate thought in the soft tissue between your ears, then suddenly you have a real ability to connect with people in a really meaningful way. And you do that in their cars, in their kitchens, on their dog walks, on their treadmills, all these different places where you can connect with people when they're normally spending time either by themselves or with close family or friends. And you're able to be a part of that in a meaningful way and give them some value, just like you're doing here with your show.
I am that audience. I'm walking my dog. I've got the podcasts that I listen to fast because I want to hear all the information. And I have the ones that I listen to slow because I want to process it and sit with it. There's something in your description that audio is actually a way to build a physical connection with people and how they think is like very science nuanced, but it's friggin' creative, beautiful, and I love it. Let's get into some of the thematic questions.
Okay.
We're here at health. It's the center of what's going on in health technology, what's going on in innovation. As somebody who's seen and had some goals for this space for a while, my expectation is some of the hype around touchless measurement or the hype around AI or EHR probably doesn't hit you as hard as somebody who hasn't been. I'm looking for like an OG's take on healthcare innovation, right? Innovation is a glow up, right? How do we make it better? How do we make it more fabulous, more effective? So what's the glow up that you want to see this industry or health tech storytellers that you want to see in this space that would really help move us forward in the next 6 to 12 months?
So I think as we see all this technology, it becomes so much more ubiquitous and so much more powerful. I think that it really is going to increase the importance of real authentic connection, and that our authentic connection will happen digitally through real people that are making connections. We've met a couple times in person, but more often we connect and we meet people digitally before we have a chance to connect with them in person. So that digital connection, I don't want to discount it, but the physical connection and the connection with real people, because I think as the AI becomes more powerful and the insights and the learning and the reliance that we have in terms of getting information from AI increases, that's going to put a higher premium on being connected to real people that one feels a good connection and affinity to. And that's what I see as a real powerful thing. And that's why I think that from an industry perspective, to look at it from this perspective, when we're spending all this time thinking about packaging and PDFs and videos and websites and events and booths and these beautiful things, we also need to think about, once we've driven that attention through our social media page or our website or newsletter, how do we give people an opportunity to say, look, thanks for looking at my social media, my website, my video. You're busy. Take this message with you. Put me in the car with you and let's listen to my founding story, to my company's founding story, or listen to some people who we've helped solve their problems. And you can then use that audio piece. So it gives that connection with real human beings. And it also honors the person that you're trying to connect with, to say, you don't need to discount 4,000 other things that are trying to steal your attention right now. You can consume this when you're in the car on your roll walk. So that's what I'd like to see more people thinking about. How do we take all of this and then convert that into an audio forward approach to say, let's deliver this in a meaningful way with real people, perhaps with the production support of AI and other tools.
I love the idea that audio allows you to add calm to the learning and engaging and building process. And that by giving somebody something that's a little bit more portable, the audio, you can literally take it with you for when you're ready. And so many things today would benefit from that level of values, just baked in it. Just when you're ready,
Exactly.
Here's something you can engage with. Amazing. So what about for mission-based? In the next 6 months, what's the glow up you're working on?
So there are a couple main things that we're doing. So I run Health Podcast Network, which is sort of curated group of health content creators that we work to amplify their message, help them improve their storytelling, their technology, have community and connection with other people. We just ran the Health Podcast Summit, which is available for everyone for free. Go to healthpodcastsummit.com. You can register and get access to 37 sessions with 42 different speakers, people from Academy Health, people from as far afield as Australia, all the way up to Vancouver, Canada, and all across, even including Europe, and a lot of people across the US, talking about the power of podcasting. So you don't have to believe me. You can listen to these other creators who are doing it in their area, whether they're providers or pharmaceutical companies or medical device companies that are doing storytelling. So we wanted to do Health Podcast Summit again in 2026. The response was absolutely far more than I expected in terms of the need of understanding how we take this powerful medium of audio and podcasting, which includes video, and then also combine that with the healthcare space. And then something else I'm really passionate about is Health Unmuted, which I describe. They haven't told me to stop saying this yet. I haven't gotten a cease and desist order yet, but I describe it as WebMD for your ears. Health Unmuted is a collection of audio mini-series that take people along a patient journey as they are diagnosed or concerned about a condition. And they are narrated audio documentaries that, instead of me telling Nathan's story for an entire episode, it talks about, this is the question or this is the condition, let me describe it, and this is what it was like for Nathan or their caregiver or a health expert weighing in, a variety of different health experts, pharmacists, speech therapists, respiratory therapists, whoever it might be that's part of that problem, and then takes people through a narrated journey, and importantly, gives them guidance about where else they can go for more information. So those are the things I'm really passionate about: Health Podcast Network and Health Unmuted. And of course, helping creators like you be effective in getting your word out, affecting people in the soft tissue between their ears.
The idea of Unmuted to me sounds like the Curious Nerds true crime podcast to learn about healthcare. And every bit about it just feels good.
Yep.
Again, meet people where they're interested. That tell me the rest of the story is 9 times out of 10. What I hear people want to know when they hear a podcast is what else? What happened there? The part of the interest of podcasting is it builds that connection and it gets you invested in the people part of the story. So it's just lighting me up. The last question I've got, heroes and legends is the theme of the show. I'm curious, has a hero, a legend, coach, mentor supported you or encouraged you to keep going in your journey in health innovation?
There are too many to list, I think, but just to reflect on a couple, I think my father has been one of my biggest champions, and I connected, to be a little bit candid here, I connected quite late with my father. I didn't have a relationship much with him when I was younger. And as I've connected with him as an adult and gotten to know him, he's been a huge champion for encouraging me to be the best person that I can be as a father, as a human being, as a citizen, and as an entrepreneur, and someone who's trying to contribute in a positive way. I'll give a hat tip to him and my stepmom, who's also been a big part of the support that I've received from my family.
It gave me a bunch of warm fuzzies. I really appreciate that. The support from family is so crucial. An earned relationship means that much more because you had to connect intentionally when you were able to. So
Yeah.
what a lovely outcome to come from that connection.
Thank you. That's a nice way to put it.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Dan Kendall, Mission-Based Media. Thank you so much for joining me on the Health Tech Glow Up.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for
Indeed.
paying attention. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.